helloing. Come to Lumio City, where we have a hotel ran by a war criminal. Or rather, used to be run by a war criminal. Windows on our buildings. Public execution line exhibit. Potential woman. And of course, the rich. Along with this, the city has currently undergone a craze of rogue mega fever, with a variety of these giant monsters being able to undergo a horrific metamorphosis that allows them to be banned to anything goes. In total, there are over 90 megastones to use, but for the sake of my sanity, I will only be going over all the new ones introduced in ZA and its DLC. That still means a solid 44 megas to cover, seeing as it seems ZA is seemingly done with content now, and nothing else will be introduced on Pokemon Day. Totally. I think it's the perfect time as any to go over and overview the new stuff introduced and give my thoughts on them. Compared to my old rankings, I'll actually try to be a tiny bit more analytical and maybe even look at their stats. I shall be going in order based off the list Bulbapedia provides on the Mega Evolutions page, starting with base game and moving to DLC after. So strap in, let's get going. We start our trek with Mega Clefable, first being seen ran by a very scary woman. Mega Clefable grows wings to gain the flying type so it can finally reach the moon. Aw, how wholesome. Design wise, I think it perfectly suits Clefable and what its line and Pokedex entries imply about Lemon. Also, the fact that it just completely ignores it, bends gravity to its will is kinda funny. Not sure how I'd feel about the top of hair turning into a lump on its head, but overall, a solid introduction. I'll give it a B tier. One of the first new Megas we were introduced to is this tub of lard. Mega Victory Bell is disturbing in the best way possible. It contains so much acid that it grows fat and has to hop around and shoot out its poison everywhere instead of actually being a flycatcher. And it can't stop spewing it out, so it just seals itself up with its vines. Absolute cinema. My main flaw with it is that it doesn't get much bulkier when it megas, and instead it just becomes a vague mix attacker. Ugh. But otherwise, I quite like this one. A tier. Mega Starmie grows long legs and starts acting like a superhero. Its main dangerous attack during its rogue mega battle is it running at high speeds and slamming itself into the wall. This is the stupidest mega they have ever made. Mega Dragonite is a mega. In ZA in particular, a lot of the newer megas seem to incorporate the designs of the pre-evos into the mega, with Dragonite getting hints of Dragonair added into it in the form of the tail, and the giant orb thing lodged into its tail as well. A lot of the hubbub about this game was around Dragonite's design, and yeah, I kinda don't jive with it myself. I do get it's meant to represent its more kind nature, now using Mega Evolution to Mega Rush over to help others in need, like some kind of guardian angel. But it somehow feels like the Mega is doing too much and too little at the same time, especially for one as iconic as Dragonite. Not terrible, but not one I'm clamoring over. C tier. Oh boy, my favourite mon of all time. Bias aside, Meganium's Mega is kinda just there. It grows a set of 4 flowers and gets slightly greener legs. Wow! One of the side quests in the DLC tasked you with fighting a set of 3 starters with one of the ZA starters by themselves, except it would also be the type they are weak to. Can you guess which one was the hardest? Along with this, the Mega becomes more of a special attacker along with gaining the Fairy type, but even then its special move pool is relatively lacking. You want to use your new Fairy Stab attacker bonus? Okay, you have 2 options. No, never expect a disarming voice. D tier. But what about my starter pick? Feraligatr. Feraligatr becomes a toilet lid. It looks really stupid, but at the same time, I don't know what I was expecting with a mon that looks like this. A lot of the people have been saying that Gator would look significantly better if its lid was just more down, and with art such as this one from the TCG, yeah, I would have to agree, it looks sick here. It also becomes like Totodile when it clamps down its jaws for some reason. It also obtains the dragon typing with its Mega, which is pretty cool. It also uses its arms to form the underbite of its jaw, which is neat. But overall, I cannot really put it higher than like a B, due to it being Skibbity Gator most of the time it's lumbering around. I overall still like it, but one tiny change could have made it a whole lot better looking. Skarmory becomes golden and obtains the Curse of Ra! You first get to see it being used by the guy that keeps giving me 5-star battle distortions instead of anything else, so we're already off to a good start with this one. I do like how it has from silver to gold to represent the gen it originates from, that's kind of neat. But other than that, I just don't really have much else to say. It's just a freaking looking bird that will claw you to death with its talons that seem to represent a crane's claw. Maybe the Curse of Ra is real. I'll put it in B to hopefully stave off the curse. I don't think it's working. We move on over to Mega Frostlass, which kind of just turns into a tall woman. If a Mega Stone can turn you from 4 foot to 8 foot, I gotta find myself one now! Design-wise, they literally just took Frostlass and stretched it out in Photoshop. Also, its arms and ear things get elongated too. Okay. I don't know when I'll get to talk about this, but in Scarlet and Violet, Frostlass's Pokedex image is just about to murder a man, and then just freeze it, and probably display it in its cave, if its Pokedex entries are anything to go by. Or what was I talking about again? C-tier? Okay. Our last of the ZA starters is the well-liked combo of Fighting and Fire-type, Emboar. Its Mega turns it into a War General with a pointy fire stick. Why does his art look like that? I think it's the extra stupid long side teeth that makes it look like 5 times more stupid than it should really look. Overall, this Mega design and mod in general is just the equivalent of this one image of the guy putting a toothpick in his mouth. Still pretty alright, I'll put a B tier. Now we're talking. Used by an old man, Mega Extra Drill is primed and ready to shoot across the map into the nearest weak to Drill Run enemy at Mark 4. If you are not using Drill Run on this thing or any other move that launches it across the map, you are using it wrong and you are not real. The official art also just makes it look significantly more intimidating than it actually is. Brother is just not having it. One of my new favourites from the game, if you could tell already. Here is a clip of it getting stuck in the ground inside of a lamppost. Absolute Cinema, S tier. Mega Scolipede is weird to me. First used by the purple guy FNAF. It dons a sick looking set of armor with the bug itself getting a nice looking green added to its coloring. Ooh. Basically added on the armoring of Whirlipede and little bits of green from Venipede, which is very neat. I feel like it could have got Steel type though, or is that just me? It literally gets armor and a massive defense buff to its stats while also actively getting slower, so it basically confirms it's donning heavy armor, so why no type change? Although then again, I guess they didn't want to cross over with another bug Steel Mega Evolution they introduced in the game. Also, because it only learns one Steel attacking move. Overall, however, still very nicely done. The bug type finally gets something. Hallelujah! Not one of my top favorites, but still a solid A tier. Speaking of favorites, this bipedal lizard is just full of the exaggerated swagger of a black teen. It gives me goosebumps every time it cracks its neck when it megas. That's how you know it's not messing around and it means business. Me and my 4 times weakness to fairy types are ready for anything. I sure hope those aren't too common online. The design may be simple, but I don't know, I just really think it looks cool with the full white skin hoodie and its hands in its pockets. Little Gup isn't messing around anymore. He will mess you up whether you're ready for it or not. And because it's crafty, not a lot of people are ready for it. S tier. Electros's Mega disgusts me. Used by Cannoli, its torso and arms have become stronger and secrete electrified mucus which fully coats its rear end and arms, extending in length and changing their color to a milky white. That sounds disgusting, and it indeed looks disgusting. The mucus-coated arms also form electrics for some reason. Okay. They are also named E-left-trick and E-right-trick. Just for this alone, you go in the D tier. Please do not look at me like that. Mega Chandelier is a relatively simple Mega, all things considered, becoming a giant grand chandelier, outside of one of its eyes having failed to have the fill tool applied to it, and supposedly being a window linking to the afterlife. What in the hell? What you see is what you get, and what you get? Just alright. This is inoffensive, and that meets the criteria of about a C tier, I think. We now move on to Gen 6, and with Gen 6 brings the trio of the Kalos starters, all receiving Megas in this game. Locked behind online, mind you, but it's the 4 that counts! Why are you locking decade-old Mega Stones behind online? What are you doing? We begin with Chestnut, who looks like some kind of king warrior from a long-lost kingdom. It has grown incredibly beefy thanks to Mega Evolution, toughening up its shell to absurd heights. Again, it's kinda like Mega Emboar again, except it's not even as cool or makes me feel anything looking at it, compared to Toofy McGee over here. This is like a C tier. Mega Delphox decides to join the Shadow Wizard Money Gang and learn how to truly cast spells, while right in the top of its room. Honestly, I never really cared about Delphox at all as a stupid child, because I fell for the Greninja propaganda, but honestly, I really like this Mega. The Grand Warlock look hits, and I just find the 2 sticks floating alongside it kinda funny. What do you think they are gonna do? Outside of devouring you in an all-consuming fireball, Jesus. A tier. Lastly is the guy from Smash Brothers, and I mean, yeah, it's cool, I cannot lie. turning semi-black to resemble a ninja outfit, constantly hanging upside down on a giant shuriken as it flies around. Again, not too much is done to Greninja itself, but I just like the more interesting direction they went with the Mega. If I was to make a Mega Greninja, my first thought wouldn't be to have it constantly hanging off of a rotating shuriken as it looks like disappointed. A tier. Next up to Gen 6 is... What a terrible nothing burger. I guess its mane turns into the kanji symbol for fire, but like, I don't care. Its official art someone does some salvaging, but otherwise it looks very stupid and boring, especially in-game. Have you also seen the stats it gets when it megas? Waiter, more frail special attackers please. I'll first, and probably only F tier of this video. This mega is less significantly attached to Pyro than Zone 17 is, which is an accomplishment, but also rather sad. Flowhead, please, save us from this utter travesty. I mean, I don't like the fact that it seems to be attached to the flower like an umbilical cord, but otherwise this thing is hard carried by the animations and artwork. Look at this poor tiny creature. It knows it's about to be flung around every time the flower goes for a physical attack. It just has to deal with it, you poor soul. Outside the design just being, well, I mean, the flower gets bigger. The animation of Flowhead getting flung around is enough for me to push it into B tier. It's everyone's friend Malamar. What a wholesome 100 Pokemon with no ill intent. Can I also mention this mon is used by potential woman too? It's very strange because during the post-game of X and Y, Emma literally gets brainwashed during the storyline, and she uses the literal personality overriding Mega as her ace. Are you stupid? Anyways, look at my stats, dog! I'm going to jail! It's unfortunate since the Malamar's design rocks, becoming big brain and getting cool swirly tentacles that look cool colors. Bit unfortunate it'll probably suck eggs in competitive, but that aside, I'm still gonna put it in an A tier. I just really like it. Mega Barbaracle is, oh my goodness, becomes a taller absolute unit, striking an intimidating pose, and it runs over to you to beat you senseless as it's now fighting rock type. The amount of aura this dude gives off is enough to make you pass out. It uses all of its hands to fire off death beams. This is how you do glow-ups. Take notes, you pitiful lions. S tier. Dragalge is just another mega that is just kinda there. Not bad, of course, but nothing much changes about its body, but instead its head crest just expands like a lot of the body parts gets their big megas. Unfortunately, I don't think this looks funny or cool, it just looks kinda stupid. Mainly because it looks like it now has an extra face. I do like how flowy it gets when moving around though, that kinda saves it a little. Also the Pokedex entry implying that its poison literally gives everyone cancer. Do not let the masses get access to Mega Dragalge. Overall conclusion, feeling a B tier methinks. A lot of the strange quirks about it make me like it a bit. Mega Lucha, another early reveal before the game launch, and another quite good one at that. Lucha fully embraces the wrestling vibes with a slick looking wrestling getup and mask, along with it just getting bulkier. It's another relatively simple one, but effectively making an already cool mod that much cooler. Not much else I can really say about it, it's just kind of S tier for me. I just really think it's cool, man. I just like the cool ones. When Lumiose is in the midst of a crisis and everything is quite literally falling apart, we must call upon the underutilized strength of a certain ecosystem guardian to help. But even when that isn't enough, he just says screw this and turns into a railgun instead. Mega Zygarde supposedly relocates most of the cells of his body to form a giant cannon held up by 6 tiny arms that uses to fire at will at any being it deems unworthy. The glow up of Zygarde over the past decade needs to be studied. What happened, man? The pure absurdity of giving it a giant comically oversized cannon is enough to make me put it in the S tier. Thank you, Green Man, for saving the city so I can continue to find miscolored critters in wormholes. Yippee-ki-yay. Speaking of mans, Drumpo's very old, but you already knew that, I would think. I need to come up with better transitions on my days. Anyways, as Mega turns into Shenron the Mighty Dragon, its cells get reinvigorated thanks to the power of Mega evolving, taking it back to the prime of its youth. The idea alone is just a really cool idea for a Mega, and where they went with it, it's just so good. Constantly floating off the ground in what looks like a giant cloud, the much more aggressive and prepared look, the fact that it's slightly greener, that's cool. It culminates in what I would consider another S tier. finally cap off the base game megas, we have this set of silly little guys. Yay! What better way to make a mega for them than to stack them on top of each other? Okay then. The next 3D Mario game to unite the community should have a Goomba boss as just this. The armed troopers form a shield and a pointy stick to kill people with. The two bottom ones support the middle as it tries desperately to keep it all together. And the brass stands ready for combat with its troopers in its supposed ultimate battle formation. It's really stupid, but undoubtedly charming, and for me, it's another S tier. We went on a hot streak of S tiers for a bit, but I think that's about to change as we head on over into Anja! Anja! I need sparkling power, free donuts, Anja! Anja, please! No! What are my thoughts on this DLC? It's unfortunately not great, mainly due to how grindy it can get towards the end of the post-game if you're going for text completion. I think all the new mega battles are great, and the side quests are insane, but unfortunately the main loop is just rather lacking, especially for the price tag you have to spend to get to all this. It's not a fun time, but overall I wouldn't recommend it personally. But enough about that, I should be talking about the megas now, starting with the two freaks advertised in the DLC, Raichu X and Raichu Y, which are... Raichu X gets shaped like an X and flies around for some reason. Raichu Y becomes shaped like a Y and is orange for some reason. It has the stats of a Regieleki, but worse probably. Y gets D because it also reminds me of Pormot and I do not like that thing. X gets a C because I find it flying around kind of funny. Apparently it flies because of electromagnetics, I guess. It doesn't save them. I don't really like them that much at all, really. How's about the Chimecho then? Blech. Its yellow suction cup thing expands into a certain pre-evo with more Chimechos hanging off of it. It's cute, I like it. It's also granted the steel type, which finally makes it make some vague sense. Apparently it is so loud now that its sonic blasts cause people to have their minds disrupted and their spirits broken. It's not the most flashy mega ever, but I think it's effective, and overall, it's like just kind of funny, you know. I give it a B. Drew like a dark, messed up version of Mega Absol, ha ha ha. Just a glimpse into my dark reality, a full stare into my twisted perspective would make one most simply go insane. LMAO. Mega Absol Z now takes on the disastrous approach, finally embracing dark and evil, along with being able to turn its fur into a red claw. Wow, so edgy. It's also ghost type now. Joking aside, I think the design is quite sick. I'm not a big fan of Z megas, since it's kind of just taking megas that could have been given to other ones and just rehashing the same ones, but, you know, with optimized stats and better stuff and all that. Along with the fact that this was supposedly a selling point of the DLC, and they only make 2 of them, but either way, I quite like what they do with Absol here. I'll give it an A tier. Mega Staraptor time, and oh my god, it literally just coloured in its eyes and it looks 20 times more intimidating. I am in danger! Giant bird can now brutalize you with stab close combats now. But is it just me or does this feel kind of familiar? We seem to be treading similar ground with Mega Holucha here, even down to the stats being weirdly similar. Of course they have different abilities and move pools, and of course they start off as a different type, but it's just kind of funny that they seem to be very similar to each other. Design-wise, I don't even have much to talk about, because it's just kind of Staraptor, but more. Either way, I still think it's a solid B tier. You still might want to get that copyright infringement sorted out, Mr. Raptor, just in case. Lucario. Honestly, design-wise, I think this is one of the best of the DLC. Basically inverting the colours of its arms and legs with its body, with grey scattered around. There's a lot going on with the design, but I think it just kind of works. I think it's very unfortunate that it didn't change typing though, only staying as a fighting steel type. Its dex entries state that it channels its aura to increase its defense, agility, and striking power, but it also becomes a special attacker in its Z-Mega. Maybe it could have been like fighting psychic, perhaps? I know it only knows like one psychic attack, and there's also another psychic fighting type Mega evolution, but Game Freak, come on. You should hire me, I will run this franchise into the ground. Either way, despite me really liking the design, you really don't get to use it until like significantly later into the DLC for some reason. I had the Lucario stuck in its regular Mega form for a vast majority of my playthrough on my team, as I was expecting it to be given out early, but no, it's just a part of a side quest with Karina. Okay then. Play through the entire game and kill God to get the stone, lol. It rounds all around to being like a B tier for me. Finally, the big evil scary of the DLC, and the one responsible for the grindfest. Darkrai has absorbed a ton of Mega Energy to turn into a Kirby boss. Funny fact, Mega Darkrai literally just regular Darkrai but laid out on its front, and that's just very funny to me. Not sure I like it that much, especially when it's not in its eye form as Darkrai's head is just kind of playing Peekaboo! 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 But any other time it's the eye, and it's very ominous, as it should be. I don't think it fully gets into S tier for me, but it basically scratches through A tier for me. Very good Mega. Golurk's always been a pretty cool mon to me. A shame its stats are utterly terrible. But how's about a Mega? Perhaps that could take it into the spotlight? The energy inside of Golurk has fully been unleashed, and now it's the equivalent of an unstable bomb, which is very funny. Said bomb can also launch its fists out like rockets for some reason. I also like how the bandage that was on regular Golurk is kind of just hanging off the mon uselessly. That's just kind of funny. I think its stats are finally semi-reasonable now, with heavy attack and increased bulk. Honestly, one of my new favorites of the DLC that did Golurk a solid. Can't wait to run in champions with the Klutz ability that will show them S tier. I can't believe they did Mega Pyroar but better in the same game. That's actually really embarrassing. Mega Meowstic is really neat, now becoming the yin and yang of cats, male and female, comboing together to heavily increase its psychic powers. Again, it's not too flashy, but it's solid for what it is. I like the weird eye ears. If you poke the eye ears, do you think it hurts the Meowstic's own eyes, or are they their own separate set of eyes? And only hurts the eye you're poking. Anyways, B tier. Out of any mons to get a Mega, I never expected a stupid crab to get anything, but honestly, I'm kinda glad it did. Crabominable is truly the Pokemon of all time. First being revealed as Crabrawler during the Pokemon World Championships, utterly destroying the meta, only to be revealed to be a pitiful first stage Evo that turns into this. Having zero relevance throughout most of its life, and now coming back in ZA with a Mega to murder everyone in its side mission. Absolute just cinema. Its design is just very neat too. One pair of its legs get an icy growth spurt, and its fists get frozen and spiky to now punch you to death easier. It walks around like a gorilla. This is incredible. S tier. I will not elaborate further. I am crabbing it so good right now. Mega Golisopod, one of the few ones I got spoiled on the existence of before the DLC released. What a cruel world this is. The Mega is pretty sick either way, now turned into what I can only describe as a moving battle tank. Look at him go! I also see people say it resembles a Star Wars Droideka, and I mean, do you think they would be friends? Either way, I don't have much else to say about it. Just a solid Mega for a solid mon. It even gets the Steel type, so it's even more solid, I guess. Solid A tier. Magina was always a mon that eluded me, mainly because I didn't own Gen 7 until now, and they just made a Mega for it because they can, because it's man-made. Jet, what have you done? You've doomed us all. Speaking of doom, according to the decks now, Mega Magina also just wants to kill now and has lost all of its emotions. That's kind of sad, actually. I do like how it colors into the original Magina colors, but other than that, its design doesn't really do too much for me. Not too shabby, and the competitive potential and possible things that it can do is very funny, and it will be very funny to watch. So I'll give it a B tier. Mega Zeraora is kinda lame. I don't know, man. Outside of Plasma Fist being kinda neat, never really liked Zera, and the Mega isn't really doing much else to change that. Literally, the biggest change is that it's a fully different color, and it has an extra fur tail, and gets some extra pointy bits. I guess its obtainment method being a bit more secretive is kinda neat, but, like, bleh. D tier. I was considering putting it in F, but I can think of one saving grace, and that's the fact that it moves very quickly for some reason. That's just kind of funny and also kind of scary. Oh, Scovillain. Poor Scovillain. The first ever Fire Grass type that proceeds to immediately get power crept in its own generation. With terrible stats, is a mixed attacker, has a signature move that probably does more harm than good. Spicy Extract implies it wants to be a physical attacker, but it learns nasty plots, so you want to run it as a special attacker, and it just doesn't know what it wants to be. And the Mega literally fixes none of that. It's still a slow, squishy mixed attacker that sucks at his job as being a mixed attacker. It's so tragic, because I really like its design. It becomes a dapper gentleman with a nice bow tie and suit. It will go to the fanciest restaurants. Yes. I feel very bad for it. I'm putting it in B tier out of pure pity. You poor, poor thing. Moving from that travesty to something that was already pretty good is Glamora. Huh? And its mega is, Glamora now fully separates from its petals, being able to spread its toxic debris wherever it goes. It's reflected in game when it attacks, which I think is quite neat, but other than that, I mean, the design is not good. I mean, it's fair enough. I don't think you can really improve much on a literal thumb attack, but still not the biggest fan of it, to be fully honest. The overall conclusion, C tier. I can see the light on the horizon. We're nearing the end now. We begin with a rather interesting mon to receive a mega. Tatsugiri of all things. Generally you see this thing be the food for a Dondozo before letting the Don do the talking, but giving this thing a mega to help it fight for itself a little bit, if the circumstances aren't favourable to have Dozo out, is interesting, I'll give it that. I totally didn't rob this from, like, reading online of why Tatsugiri got a mega, because I didn't understand why it would receive one when you usually use it for Dondozo strategies. It's strange that Dozo doesn't seem able to consume a mega Tatsu, though. Okay, new ability idea. Mega Tatsugiri eats Dondozo instead. Design-wise, they are sushi. On a platter. Sushi platter. I do like how, depending on which form you mega, the one in the middle is basically the commander of the group, with it also getting a set of fish eggs placed on top of it. That's cool. I like it. Overall, their existence is just sort of strange. I feel like there would be better options for mega on your team rather than a Tatsugiri, but its existence in and of itself is just kind of funny, so I'll give it a B. Last but not least, also locked behind online because screw you, pay up. The Pokemon with the greatest attack animation of all time. Okay, maybe second greatest attack animation of all time. Mega Baxcalibur. I mean, it's alright. Baxcalibur accidentally fell and impaled itself on an icy spike that resembles a sword. I'm sorry, you have 3 days. It makes sense with the classic sword in the stone trope, it just looks very goofy. I'm not sure its official art is helping either. I can't tell if it looks cool or very goofy. After racking my head for a little bit, I can only come to one conclusion to end the video on. B tier for Baxcalibur. Ta-da! There we have it. All the new megas introduced in ZA. Ranked. My overall conclusion on the game as a whole is just that it's very fun but very flawed. It's very similar vein to a lot of Pokemon's recent modern outings, really. At the time of recording this, the present still isn't out yet, so whatever they're cooking up, I hope it's a good one. I'm still very much intrigued to see what the future may hold for the games and such. Of course, I've got other games to play, of course. I am very much more excited for the hopefully soon release of Champions, just to see which of the newer monsters will be dominating the meta, and which are unfortunately named Megascovillain. Either way, I hope you enjoyed this funny little thing I made. Happy Pokemon Day, if everything goes to plan I release it then, and I hope you have a good rest of your day. Oh yeah, the Among Us, goodbye!